talk about riding after a serious injury or wreck. This one can be tough. First of all, I just want to say that if you've ever had a bad wreck or an injury, you're not obligated to ever ride again. You can stop whenever you want. If you try to pick it back up, it didn't work out for you, you can stop. You don't have to ride. With that being said, this is a video for people who maybe do want to ride again and they might be struggling mentally. I want to share my story. So I've dealt with most injuries you could incur. So I mean, like by that I mean like chronic injuries. I had a severe hip impingement I had to get surgery for because I had arthritis by the time I was 25. I had to get the other hip done too. I had my left hip because that was starting to get arthritic and I didn't want to deal with the same pain that I dealt with on my right side. So I had that done. I've also broken my back snowboarding. I've had a compression fracture. So the hip surgeries took about 8 months to heal from, and I still have issues from them today. The back took only a few months, but it still left kind of, tweaks and stuff here and there. I would say it's back to like 98%. I don't even really notice it anymore. And I've also been in a motorcycle wreck. I hit a deer at night a couple of years ago. It sucked. I probably wasn't going that fast because I was getting up to speed on this road that had like a 35, 40 mile per hour speed limit. And I saw the first deer, swerved around it, right into another. And I had time to slow down a little bit, but it was pretty violent. I didn't break any bones. I had full gear on. I was relatively okay. I hurt my knee. I could barely walk on my knee for like 2 weeks. I'm wearing a knee brace in my wedding photos because of it. And my knee hurt for about 2 years. So I'm guessing I bruised the bone because I did get tests and they didn't say anything looked torn or broken. So that was a process. And honestly, the worst part about that whole experience was not the injury itself, but the what ifs, because it was a divided highway. And if it wasn't, I would have had to deal with oncoming traffic. And the moment I hit the deer, because it was at night, as soon as my bike separated from me, I was blind. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't see anything. I didn't know how fast I was going, if I was going to hit a curb, if there was another deer. As soon as I hit the deer and separated from the bike, it was pitch darkness. I had no idea what was happening. And I've been through quite a few injuries, like lots of sprains. I've been mostly lucky about breaks other than my back, but tons of falls snowboarding, and that was probably the scariest fall or crash I've ever had. Was that deer encounter is because it was completely out of my control. And when I was sliding on the ground, thinking, I don't know if there's cars coming, I need to get up. And I remember thinking in my head, like, no matter if I'm broken, I have a broken leg or arm, I'm getting out of the road. I don't care. And that was probably the scariest thing of looking back at all the what ifs. Things went wrong, but there's also a lot that went right. I was able to pick the bike up and ride home. I had full gear on. I didn't hit any hard fixed objects. I did not get run over, but all these what ifs sat in my head for a long time. So, yeah, I've struggled with getting back on the motorcycle, and it took me a while. And my advice for people who have gone through something like this is to take short trips at first. Dip your toes in, see what kind of emotions come up, and do it sober. I've met some people who have had bad wrecks and they end up getting into really bad drugs because of the pain and not being able to handle the anxiety and the fear that comes with it. It can be messy and you need to give yourself time. Do short trips first, dip your toes in, just go around the neighborhood and go a little further, hit some back roads, whatever you need to do. Don't rush it. You got to do it on your own timeline. The other thing you can do is upgrade your gear. The reason I wear this airbag vest is because I had anxiety after my wreck because of all the what ifs. Now, there are some people who I've met who have crashed with almost no gear on and they still don't wear gear. And I think there's just a couple screws loose. They can be fun people and it's not that I dislike them, but I think they're crazy because how do you get that road rash and deal with the showers and the stinging and all that and then think, I'm not going to change my habits? That's crazy to me. But there are people out there. That's not the norm though. You're probably going to have some sort of PTSD, some form of anxiety, And you got to accept that there's two groups of riders, those who have gone down and those who haven't gone down yet. And now you're in the group that have gone down, and you cannot take that back. You're permanently changed psychologically. You will never have that same feeling you had before your wreck. That doesn't mean it takes all the joy out and you have to quit, but it does mean you probably have to reshape your relationship to motorcycles. I now ride with people who mostly have been in wrecks and have dealt with some sort of adversity in their riding, and they greatly respect gear and riding sensibly. I will not ride with people who are chasing adrenaline highs all the time. I ride with mostly older guys. I'm in my early 30s, and most of the people I ride with are in their late 30s or a lot older than that, even in their 50s, because these are guys that understand that you can't just push it all the time. I've met people that I've helped in the shop who later died because they aren't riding sensibly. If you are going 120 miles an hour and you hit the back of a truck that's going 70, that is a 50 mile per hour difference. You are not going to survive it. That is hitting a truck at 50 miles per hour. It's the equivalent. So yeah, you might need to adjust your riding habits if you got in a bad wreck and it's messing with your head. One of the big things is just going to be giving yourself time to heal, time to mentally deal with the stress that you've been through. If you've had long chronic injuries, then for a while you're going to be terrified to have them happen again, right? After my hip surgeries, I struggled with being able to snowboard and ride and do all the things I love doing. And it was really, really mentally difficult. And sometimes I feel like I'd push through and just do it, but my body would fight back. And you just can't rush the process. And if your body's fighting back, that means you probably need to go seek medical treatment, or if it's affecting you mentally, you might even want to think about therapy, because this is rough stuff. This is as real as it gets. Permanent injuries that can affect your life, or just really frightening what ifs, that PTSD effect of what if, or survivor's guilt. If you had a friend go down that you saw get really messed up, the stories I've heard are crazy. Some of them have messed with my head a little bit, even though you can say like maybe it was their fault. Yeah, but they're still real people, and it's still a lot to process. Now, I've been in the industry for almost 5 years, and I've heard a lot of stories, and it can get in your head. And I don't suggest watching crash reels of motorcycles all day long on your phone either, because that is not going to serve you. It's not the reality. That's somebody else's reality. That's somebody else's riding, somebody else's situation. You have to tune into your own riding, your own situation, and decide whether or not it's worth it. When you go out, do you feel good? That's the other thing. If I'm riding, I don't ride on roads anymore that stress me out in a car. If it's a highway and it's busy traffic and it's always that way, I simply don't take my motorcycle out. I want to do riding that makes me happy, which is empty back roads and gravel and just exploring. And I think that's perfectly fine. You got to figure out what type of riding gives you more peace while also giving you that, riding feeling. I'm not saying I never do anything that produces adrenaline, but it's time and place for it. Riding at dawn and dusk during deer season is not the time for me. And I don't like going super fast near tree lines. I like going faster on open roads where I can see like a mile on each side, farmlands. So I'm just a little more picky about where I ride. I've adjusted these new fears that the crash put in me to match what I'm comfortable with now. So if you have new fears, you should probably listen to them to some extent. It's not saying let them rule your life, but you might need to make adjustments, because those fears might be telling you something. It might be serving you without you really realizing it. If you've been in a wreck or you've had a bad injury and it's messing with your head, take your time, do short trips. Confidence doesn't come back all at once. It comes back in pieces. So you might feel okay doing back roads, but going through town might scare you. For me, I like riding my motorcycle through town because those cars stress me out. They take up too much space, and I feel like I'm going to hit something all the time. So the motorcycle actually gives me more peace, and I can hug turns on back roads so that if somebody comes over my lane, I'm not just exposed to that, right? So I think of cars and bikes as tools now. If I want to go cruising down the highway, I just take my car, because I'm not going to put myself in a situation on a bike where it stresses me out. That just makes me not like riding as much, and it doesn't get me as stoked. And what's the point if you're not enjoying it, right? I got nothing to prove. I just want to go out and have fun and enjoy being on two wheels. So yeah, if you've been in a wreck, or you've had some kind of horrible injury that you've dealt with, some kind of physical setback, don't give up. Try to keep your head up. If you did end up in a place where you're physically disabled from it, find other things to appreciate if you can. We're only here for so long. We only live for so long. So if you can't chase adrenaline more, like, let that ego down. Let some people in. Build closer relationships that can be just as fulfilling, if not more fulfilling. Ride more laid back. Choose who you ride with more carefully. There's so many solutions, but give yourself time. Don't rush it. And try to learn more. Upgrade your gear if you need to. Or just don't ride altogether. Find something else you enjoy more. There's always that option. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope this resonates with anybody who might be struggling with getting back on the bike, or doing an activity that really injured them and messed with their head. I hope you find a way to enjoy what you like doing without disrupting your peace. Thank you for watching. Once again, if you like this content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new content. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I'll be sure to try my best to get back to everybody. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Till next time.